Hey, I'm Soph from the band Our Girl, and this is The Hardest Part.
Hello, and welcome to The Hardest Part, the show that unravels the stories behind the most challenging songs ever written. I'm Kieron Banerji, and joining me in the studio on this episode is Soph Nathan, lead singer and guitarist of Our Girl. I first met and recorded Our Girl back in 2018 and was really excited to get them back in the studio to talk about their track Something About Me Being a Woman, which is on their 2024 record The Good Kind. When I spoke with Soph about this particular song, she shared that it was one of the more challenging tracks to write on the album. While the album is filled with themes of making the best of things and is infused with love, the song was different. It came from a place of frustration and anger. Writing it was crucial for processing a difficult experience, but finding the right way to articulate those feelings was tough. She explained how delicate it felt, wanting to do the situation justice while balancing the need to convey the exact right emotion without giving too much away. Make sure to stay tuned to hear Something About Me Being a Woman in full at the end of this episode. But before that, here's my chat with Soph from Our Girl.
This song is called Something About Me Being a Woman, and it's on our record that's coming out soon. I think most of the songs on the record are quite like sort of loving, and this is one that's just kind of like just got a lot of anger out in, which I found very helpful to write. But I think it's harder for that reason.
So what's the song about?
It's about something that happened that I feel like speaks to a wider experience of just being a woman. It's quite clearly in the song, in like the three choruses of me. It was just something that happened that left me feeling quite undermined, and it felt like maybe someone was projecting their sort of preconceptions onto me. And this was like a really good way to process that and get some anger out about it.
So this situation had arisen and it had been ongoing. When was the spark where you're like, I want to write about this, and how did that process start?
I think it was after. And obviously I felt it very strongly in the moment, and like I'll feel differently in like 5 years. Yeah. And it wasn't, it's not an awful thing. But it just, I think I was processing it after, and maybe processing why certain things were said, and it felt a bit like actually maybe something was being projected onto me, and it wasn't really about me that much. I was just sort of like a person that maybe they were putting certain preconceptions onto, kind of thing. And I hadn't written for ages, actually. I was like quite worried about it.
Oh, really?
After the first record, for a while, I didn't think I'd written anything that was very good. And this was the first song that I wrote that I felt like that I liked enough. It was really helpful to process it.
Yeah.
Basically, like all of the songs are like huge processing tools for me. And there's a lot of, I suppose there are things of like a similar tone that just stay in my voice memos app because, it's just like get it out kind of thing. But this one felt like something I wanted to hold on to.
So when you have a track which, like you said, these songs and writing these songs help you process difficult moments or situations, how do you begin the process of writing a song like that? Is it different to when it's maybe not a song about something that has to be processed? How does that creative sort of process change for you? I'm processing something, but right. But I might like get a lot out in the initial stages of writing it, and then kind of trim that down to what I'd feel comfortable putting out there, kind of thing. And I think I found this one hard because it felt a bit delicate, because you want to like portray something in the right way, with it like still being true to how you're feeling, and also like fitting in the way with the melody that you want it to. But also like people are going to interpret songs however they want, and like as I said, like I might feel differently about it in however many years. So it's just like a reflection of how I felt in that moment. But yeah, this one, like the second verse, actually, I landed on the final lyrics for that in the studio, like when I was recording the vocals. So it was like, even though I wrote it quite a long time ago, it was like there were still some uncertainties like up until the final point. But then it's like, that's just it. That's what we recorded, so.
I saw something you might like. so I just dropped by to say so. Can't do that without you spinning out. Can't do that without you spinning out. We are fond of a lot of things, even more so when you've had a drink.
What did the rest of the band and the producers bring to the production?
Well, we started working on it and then we went on tour in the US. So we sort of like worked on it on tour, which was actually really nice that we haven't done that much before. And yeah, Josh and Oz brought a lot. They always do. They always like just come up with things that I would never have thought of. That's the joy of being in a band, I think. Like there's some kind of really interesting guitar part bass lines in there. They're just both very creative.
Amazing.
But we recorded it along with a record at Rockfield Studios. We had about 2 weeks to do it, and it was great in many ways. But we came out the other side of it not being happy with the mixes, and so we basically took it to Fern Ford, the producer, and in her home studio, and basically just like reworked the whole thing and sort of reproduced a lot of it. And this was the song that was the hardest to do, really. Like it felt the most not right. And we started with it with Fern, and I was like quite daunted by opening it up. And I think we were like, we just should start with the one that needs the most work, but that's the most scary. And it was like so freeing doing it with her, and just had time and space to experiment. I think that's like a really important part of our band and writing, is just experimenting and seeing what sticks.
So working with Fern on the record, how did she open up the mix? How did she resolve some of the issues you were having with the mix?
We basically just did like a massive dive into all the songs and pulled apart all the takes, and we wanted to take stock of what was there, because I knew that there was like a lot we've recorded, and it's just about like finding the balance of mics, and like a big thing was like getting the guitar sound right. And she was really open to that, and has been like a good friend, and I play with her in the Big Moon, my other band. Yeah. And she's done similar work with Big Moon. So I just trusted her, and she's supported our girl for a while, and she was just like, I see what you mean, let's just investigate together. And she was she's got a really good ear, and is like very patient with stuff. So we just sort of took our time to like excavate, and then we recorded some more guitars.
What was it like recording at Rockfield? Some so much history.
Yeah, it's amazing. Have you been?
I've never been. I'd like to go. I mean, I can't remember. I think I watched, it must have been during COVID, like back to back Bohemian Rhapsody, and then I think they did some of that work there, hadn't they?
Yeah, I think so.
And then was definitely maybe.
Yeah.
Or What's the Story Morning, or both? One of them was also recorded there?
I think it was definitely maybe. I might be wrong.
Because the Wonderwall is there, right?
Yeah, it's there. Like, we went and saw it.
Well,
we just took a trip one evening. We're like, that's a wall. Yeah.
It's not just a wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. To haunt everyone's karaoke thereafter for many years.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Do you always like to? It's residential, right? So like, how did that change the process? Being able to sort of like bunk up and like.
Yeah, I think it's good for us. Our first record, we did it like that, and so we thought it suited us just to like get into the world together, and have this like little bubble of it for a while. But actually, because we ended up needing more time, now I'm thinking that actually maybe a good way to do it is to do that, to track it all, and then be able to work on it like later and take it away, and
less time constraints as well, I guess, right?
Exactly, yeah. So we sort of learned a lot and figured out a lot about how we want things to go while we were there. But yeah, it was awesome.
So we've spoken about what this song means to you, and sort of what it helped you process. What do you want your fans and the listeners to take from this song?
It like means a lot to me when I hear a song that I relate to, even if like I've missed the point entirely and I'm singing it, and there's so many songs that I feel like I really know exactly what they mean, and it means something to me, but I might be completely off the mark.
Yeah.
But I mean, it would be nice if people felt that in some way. I feel like it's a common experience.
Were there any parts of the song in particular that are extremely difficult to finalise?
Yeah, I mean, the verses, sort of, the second verse, sort of trying to continue that story. in the right way. Like there were a lot of moving parts and lots of switching lyrics around, which all kind of explain the same feeling. Right. But for some reason it took like quite a long time. Like we did it on KXP when we were in America, like when we just figured it out. So the song's changed a lot since then. But there are different lyrics on the second verse of that because it just changed my mind like by the time we got to the studio. Yeah. So that was maybe the hardest bit.
Seems bigger than what it is, and I know I'm lucky for a lot of things, but if you were a man, would you still have done it? And if I was straight, would you still have said it? Remember, you don't really know me.
So for our audience who are about to hear the session, what do you want them to specifically listen out for?
I know from the recorded version what I want them to listen out for. When we opened up the song again, for like a while after recording it before then, I was hearing lots of different guitar parts, but it's all just theoretical and you can't like all decide and know that you want that until you actually try it. But ended up doing a lot of them, and one of them that came out of it was like a reverse guitar part in the second verse that's quite like swirly. Nice. And there are like quite distant R's in the middle eight that I really wanted to be swirly.
Okay.
And it's funny when you're working with someone else and you need to like try and explain it in the right way. But I think I kept just being like, can it just go like this? Can it just sort of swirl around you? Yeah, exactly, to Fern. And she managed to do it. But that reverse delay sort of runs through then I think to the end of the song. But it just becomes a texture.
Thank you for joining us on the Hardest Part podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I saw something you might like, so I just dropped by to say so. Can't do that without you spilling out. Can't do that without you spilling out. We are fond of a lot of things, even more so when you've had a drink. I guess it was just bad timing. I guess it was just bad timing. Or something about me being a woman. 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 You drew everyone in, then you scared everyone out. We cooled down, so you tried the charm again. Something about. You think I'm caring and you like that. So you said some things you shouldn't have. It's got nothing to do with me though. It's got nothing to do with me though. I guess it was just bad timing. Or something about me being a woman. 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 Seems bigger than what it is, and I know I'm lucky for a lot of things, but if she were a man, would you still have done it? And if I was straight, would you still have said it? Remember, you don't but I'm getting a little tired of it.
Thanks to Soph from Our Girl. Make sure to subscribe and follow The Hardest Part wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and all other major platforms. This episode of The Hardest Part was recorded at the Thin White Duke Studios in London's Soho. It was recorded by Max Walker and is mixed and produced by myself. Photos from today's session are by Callum Baker, and additional videography is by Giovanni Almonte. Thanks for tuning in.